As you see, they've got a neck on the floor. He's got his hand on her neck.
He's straight out of Wales with the wind in his sails. He's tipping the scales, Silurian trails, revealing their names while he's lifting their veils. Public assails, no one exhales. Won't read in the mail, it's not printed in braille. No bonus for sales, the light will prevail. He's telling the tale while he's hot on the trail. Whole nother scale, he's hammering the nail. He's trolling and rolling the camera and showing the standard that's double. Exposing the bubble, removing the muzzle. He's always got trouble, he's fighting the muscle and solving the puzzle. He's taking the fight and he's spreading the light and he's doing it right. Taking dark as the night and he's making it bright and providing insight while he's flooding your eyes like a hare in the headlight.
Press, don't even pick on me. Are you watching this? The press aren't allowed to film.
Injustice is served, collar crime is submerged. Don't be absurd, your vision is blurred. He's seen it occur, still right there on the curb. His iPhone record, he's filming the herd. BLM thugs act like cons high on drugs. They wrecking the place, they're smashing the face. He's in with the thick, in with hammers and sticks. Exposing the truth, he's showing the proof. He's trolling and rolling the camera and showing the standard that's double. Exposing the bubble, removing the muzzle. He's always got trouble, he's fighting the muscle and solving the puzzle. He's taking the fight and he's spreading the light and he's doing it right. Taking dark as the night and he's making it bright and providing insight while he's flooding your eyes like a hare in the headlight.
You just don't want to see it there. You just don't want to see the violence. You don't want to see the violence on some of those people. 3 people on a woman.
Support for the vets, pray unless we forget the pain he besets and the truth he projects. He's a victim of threats, but he never regrets. Live stream the upsets, no printing gazettes. He's taken the test, got the pedos address. No south, east or west, he streams the protest. No news is suppressed, the whole truth is expressed. Twin standards he tests, he's facing arrest. He's trolling and rolling the camera and showing the standard that's double. Exposing the bubble, removing the muzzle. He's always got trouble, he's fighting the muscle and solving the puzzle. He's taking the fight and he's spreading the light and he's doing it right. Taking dark as the night and he's making it bright and providing insight while he's flooding your eyes like a hare in the headlight.
There's 4, 5 on 1. There's 2 on a girl. Evening all. Welcome to Real News Live News. What a weekend it's been. Non-stop. 2 convoys I joined on, and also I went to London on a bus. I was up at 5 o'clock and I went all the way to London, folks. And I was back home around about 12 o'clock at night. The bus made up some time, so a very long day Monday, so I'm just about recovering, I think. So times I've done my editing yesterday and stuff like that, and got my videos ready for YouTube later. So I'm just about recovering. I'll probably have a day off tomorrow, to be honest with you folks, and then I'll be back at it on Saturday. I've got 2 special guests tonight, but first of all, please, could you all start to share? I've still got a problem with sharing. But if you see my head go down like that, that means I'm sharing off a different profile, and I'll start getting it out there to different groups and stuff. So get some more people in here as well. So if you could all start sharing, that'd be great. Hopefully I can see your comments tonight, because what I've done tonight, I've only sent it to my page, and then I filtered it out off from the page, so everybody knows what time I'm on and stuff like that. Because hopefully I can see all your comments, folks. Unless, of course, you jump on YouTube, which is Real News Live News, and I'll be able to see all your comments on there as well, folks. So I'm going to welcome my 2 guests on. Steve Wild is a good friend of mine. We still are Yellow Vests, folks, and got a lot of respect for this guy. He's been to many protests over the country and stuff like that. He supports Tracy Blackwell as well. Amazing guy, very knowledgeable. So I'm going to bring Steve on first, and then I'm going to bring Lucia on. Hello, Steve. How are you, mate?
Good evening. How are we?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Do you want to? Right. If my head goes down like that, that just means I'm sharing, right? I am taking notice, right? I'm a bit like a woman. I'm a bit like a woman. I can do multiple things at once, but sure. I've got to be able to look at my phone, and I can't. Go like that and see what I'm doing. So could you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, Steve? Because not a lot of people will know you on my Facebook. So just a little bit of an info about yourself, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah, no worries. I don't really know where to start with sort of an introduction, I am literally just an ordinary fella. I started to get really interested in just cases of injustice, really. I think once you experience a little bit of trauma in your own life, you do tend to become a lot more empathetic to things, and it wakes you up to a lot of pertinent things that are really going on in the country. So I was drawn to things like the Yellow Vests. Once I joined that, I realised that, wow, there's so many people that have so many stories that just aren't listened to, quite frankly, and it really touched me. And I made a lot of good friends from there, and people with just, spirit of unity, in the sense that we need things to change, and justice, and that's really the fundamentals of all I've ever really been about. I would, consider myself. Well, actually, no, I won't. I won't. I won't label myself any of this left right sort of dichotomy, because it's too difficult to define, and I tend to find once you do, it'll upset someone, and you're not good enough for someone's definition.
I know what you mean.
So it's all a little bit pointless, really. So really, I'm just someone that cares about injustice and making wrongs right. So I started my own journey just as an ordinary fella, and something I did learn on the way is what a lot of people tend to do is look for leadership and regurgitate rhetoric. And I actually found that to be a little bit dangerous, right? Because you may watch a video, you may see something that resonates with you, and you'll watch it intently to memorize it and then regurgitate. And I don't think that's too. I think what people need to do is take it upon themselves, unify with people, talk to, get a little group in your own community that feels the same way. Maybe even talk to other people that disagree, and things like that, and then meet somewhere in the middle. So I'm an activist for absolutely no personal gain. It does me no favors in life whatsoever. It's quite stressful, in fact. So yeah, that's just me. I'm just someone that likes to. I believe in consistency, so I just like to. I like pressure movements and things like that. Basically, that's me summed up.
Yeah, some of the things we stand for, because you're the same sort of mentality as myself. Like you said, is for all injustices, really. That's what the Yellow Vest movement was all about, wasn't it, Steve? It wasn't just focused on one person or anything like that. It was focused on a collective of all injustices, what was happening around the country at the time, wasn't it?
Sure. Well, we all did things for each other, and
Yeah.
I mean, even when the lockdown was initiated, we all made a point of actively going out and feeding the homeless, because no one was looking after them at the time. So we do share that same spirit,
Yeah, definitely. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to bring on Lucia as well. She's from PCP Wales group. Hello, Lucia.
Hi,
Could you also tell yourself about a little bit about yourself? Because then I can just keep on my sharing business.
Yeah, I certainly can. So my name's Lucia. Well, actually, by trade, I'm actually an accountant, so it's nothing really to do with this, PCP Wales, the organisation that I joined. So back in 2020, I'd say about July 2020, I found out that the Welsh Government and all the UK governments, in fact, were bringing in this sex education into all our schools. It's called RSE in Wales. Up in Scotland, it's called RHSP, and it's called SRE in other places. But the fundamental thing that we must all realise is actually it's CSE, which is Comprehensive Sex Education. So this has been going on throughout the world for years, especially in America. when I first heard about this, the first post I seen was actually one of my Facebook friends, Rachel, who's also a member of PCP Wales. And she had shared a post saying about they were going to be teaching school children about things like bondage. And I was like, oh, what? No, they can't do that. I was, why would any school child need to be educated about this? Particularly in a school environment. So obviously I joined, joined in with Ms. Kimberly, who was actually the founder of PCP. And, found out a lot more information as well with regards to this sex education. It's global. It's come from the United Nations. And there's some appalling things that are already being taught in schools all over the world. Now, it's been really, really difficult to get people on board because so many people believe that our governments would not do this. They believe that our governments wouldn't put inappropriate content in our schools. But now, we've got to this point. We've got to this point now where it is in schools, and in particular in Scotland, Scottish schools, the education there is awful. It's really, really bad. There's actually a sex survey at the moment where they're asking children about, inappropriate sexual activity. They're saying it's for 14 to 15-year-olds, but there is this thing that is actually from 11. But it's inappropriate anyway. Why are the schools interested in learning about children's, sexual activity? It really is sick. So, we've got to this point now. We have been spreading awareness since 2020. We have been writing to our local authorities and our schools. A lot of people as well are believing the schools themselves as opposed to what we're providing, because obviously that you are going to trust your own headmistress or school teacher above us. But a lot of these teachers didn't even have the information anyway. They were still believing it was the sex education that we've always had in the country. But now, we are in a position that people are waking up to it and realizing, oh my God, this is really, really serious. So we are actively campaigning, and I don't know, shall I go on to say now that we are actually...
I would like to know, Steve, do you know anything about what Lucia is talking about?
Yeah, I've looked into it briefly. Phil, I've heard what's been going on in Wales and stuff regarding sex education and things like that. It's absolutely bizarre. I think when it comes to that young, I think you really need to question who is benefiting from that, because the way I look at that, right, is what you're doing by forcing this sort of education onto children is you're actually stripping them of their innocence. And I've heard all sorts of atrocious things that they want to bring into the curriculum. In my opinion, unless it's of biological relevance, then don't have it in the curriculum, right? Why? I have absolutely no idea why you need to teach prepubescent kids anything about masturbation. In fact, you don't even need to tell that to teenagers. I can guarantee you there's not a teenager in the world that you could teach that and they'll go, I didn't know you could do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
The
whole thing is bizarre.
This education starts from the age of 3, Steve. This is what's so sickening about it.
Well, that's abuse.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Abuse. What you were saying about the innocence thing. Now, I do remember back in when I was younger, and the first time I heard about how babies were made, and I was sort of at that age where Mum was telling me sort of about growing up and periods, etc. But I do remember that point where it kind of did take my innocence away a little bit, because all of a sudden, you know, I was in this child world of believing that babies just, you know, grew in the belly, and then all of a sudden you hear of how they're made, and it was just like, oh gosh. So it did, and I was about 10 or 11 at the time, and obviously I only learned it from a biological point of view as well. There was none of this stuff about sexual pleasure and, you know, like different sexual acts. Like that would have freaked me out big time, because I was such an innocent child. So I do know, you know, even learning about how babies are made, it did actually make you, yeah, you've left that part of your childhood, that part of innocence aside. But now they want to teach children. Now, if you go look at the official documents from UNESCO, it goes from age 5, and it's saying between the ages of 5 to 8 to dismiss the myths of how a baby is made. Now, why would any child at 5 need to know? They don't need to know at that age. Now, another thing as well that they're bringing in as early as 3 or 4 is learning about like the proper names of your private parts. But they're learning, like they call it the biological parts, but actually they're learning this. They're learning that they're the sexual terms, if you like. And it's sick. There's no reason why children need to know this at all. Children only need to know, you know, what's private, that's their private part, and that's all they need to know. No one is to touch them, and that's it. It's very sinister, it's awful. And the worst thing is people are thinking that it's about safeguarding the children, so they're able to express if someone is doing something, you know, and towards them. But none of it makes sense. None of the narrative makes sense on this. Shocking.
Yeah, it certainly don't. Well, when you're talking about safe sex and they're trying to push anal as safe sex, am I right in saying it's 8 to 9 year olds?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm not entirely sure where exactly they're going to bring that in at the minute. But yeah, I have seen that they do teach it as young as 8 and 9.
Yeah.
And obviously the masturbation was coming in as early as 5 or 6 in the pilot scheme that was previous in England. So, you know, it's all very, very inappropriate. And, you know, in fact, why would children need to be learning this in school anyway? It's shocking.
Well, yeah. I've also always, by the way, said that because I know this sort of falls into some sort of there's a bit of a trans agenda involved. That I had an 8-year-old say to me a few weeks back that she's pansexual.
Oh God!
Right, and you know, my first question is, where do you hear terms like that? And unbeknownst to me, it's quite common. They all know these terms. They all know what it is. I've pulled my kids out of school for various reasons. But yeah, it's bizarre what goes on and what they actually know. They know more terminology than I do, really, about all of this
it's
stuff.
Shocking. Yeah, it is. It's shocking.
And I tend to find as well that if you sort of look at the stats and stuff, there's a massive increase in transgender children, and all that really is to me is the way I see that is adults taking advantage and abusing, really, because all you're giving them is identitarian issues, because children like to pretend. Yeah. There is absolutely no issue, right, with my little nephews when they were 4 and 5 running around like pretending to be fairies. Right, that wasn't really a problem because they were pretending. Right? It's all good, but when they get influenced to the point where people are saying, well, why did you do that? Did you do that because do you feel different, or do you feel like you want to be? No, they're just exploring what it means to be a girl and why that's funny, as opposed to I am that. But then it gives them this massive complex when they grow up, and then by the time puberty does kick in and they get all these hormones, they don't know who they are and they're stuck because they've been indoctrinated way too young. It's very harmful.
It is. I totally agree with you, Steve. This transgender thing, I believe they want to teach it as young as 5. you know, talking about, you know, and in fact, what you said there was someone, I'm not sure which school, but it's a local school to me, where a parent had said that her child had come home and said that the teacher had said that he could be a girl if he wanted to be. So, you know, it's already coming into schools, and it's ever so confusing. If you read the trans toolkit as well, which is what the teachers have got to refer to, it says things like, you know, like if a child likes to do, you know, something that is normal, if you like, of the opposite sex. So, for example, in school, I like climbing trees. So would that have meant that I should have really transitioned into a man? Do you know what I mean? Like, I was very much, you know, a bit of a tomboy, as they used to call it. I didn't like wearing the dresses. My mum used to make dresses when we were younger, and I was just, well, by the time I got to 8 and 9, I was like, no, I'm not wearing dresses. Now, does that mean, like, this day and age, if I was growing up in school this day and age, I would have been told and encouraged to either take hormone blockers or, you know, sort of have surgery, etc. And that it is very, very damaging. Because if this transgender, if these things are actually, hang on 2 secs.
Yeah, Steve, at the end of the day, right, a child in school now, right, if they decide they want to become, a boy wants to become a girl, the child has more rights than the parent to, if the child wants to become a girl, they can. And it's not a lot the parent can do, because they're actually classed as abusing their rights as a child, Steve. This is how
yeah, I mean that's where social services and the corruption there sort of comes into it. I mean, I remember, I think it was Tony Blair that brought in the future risk of emotional harm, and all those stringent, ridiculous powers that meant that you could get reported for all sorts. It's just absolutely bizarre. But all of this stuff really makes me wonder, where did this curriculum come from? Who's pushing it? Who's funding it? Because I hear it's really delves back to like United Nations and all these bilateral organisations.
Yeah, so it does. It comes from it comes from the World Health Organization and the United Nations. But if you like actually go back and you look at exactly, you know, who is behind it all, you do actually come back. You come back to a man called Alfred Kinsey. Now, Alfred Kinsey was a very, very sick man. He was actually a zoologist, and he started, you know, doing a lot of studies into sex and the patterns and that, you know, like how, first of all, it was a book about the male, and then it was the female. But his version of sex, it's very, very sinister, and actually his studies involve the rape of children as young as 2 months. It's horrible. It really is. And in his studies, he was, what his study was for is to prove that children can feel sexual pleasure. And it's absolutely horrendous. And because this man had, you know, so many qualifications, people were believing him. He was a zoologist. That's something to do with nature anyway. And then he came into this. In fact, him and his wife had I can't say this word, polyamorous, when there's more than two, you know, when you invite other people into your relationship. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I'm not very good with long words. So, you know, he was not a nice man at all. In fact, he was a prolific paedophile. And, you know, he actually, back in the 1940s, I believe, his work actually changed or softened laws against paedophiles and rapists, because he was basically saying that men couldn't help it. That was his sort of thing on it. So, he has got a lot to answer for. And, you know, his work, he set up the Kinsey Institute. and they are still alive and kicking. He's not, because, you know, he died back in the 50s, I believe, but his institute is still alive and kicking, and it's collecting data still. So when I seen this survey, or when we seen this survey up in Scotland, it kind of made you think, are they collecting information from these young people, you know, for things like this, you know? So yeah, very, very sinister, and it's not nice at all. So apologies that I had to sort of go into that then. It's not a nice thing to hear.
Yeah, Steve, I saw the book, and it shows a chart, and basically what it's about is the time scale of how long it takes for and how many times for the child to actually pleasure themselves. Now we're talking this evidence, right? Now the lefties, Labour, would say he's not a paedophile, he was just a scientist. But no way you could possibly say that, because he must have had permission.
No. Right.
He must have had permission.
What science? First of all, what
scientists?
Baby, what scientists will what scientists, first of all, because they all get funded, right? A lot of it is usually government funded as well. Will go, oh guys, I've got this new project, right, that I think will be of a lot of pertinence and really useful. Yeah, I want to see what happens to a child when we do this, right? And then he's got backing, then he's got funding, right? This is why all of this stuff really, I think, is from like top level stuff here. When you mentioned Labour there, right? If you go way back, I'm sure you both know, but there was an institution called PIE. Right? It was the Paedophile Information Exchange, right? And there were just loads of politicians signed up to it that used to like promote it and all sorts. And that was only like the 70s and 80s. That wasn't too long ago. And then, you know, and now you've got all this sinister stuff coming into Welsh education, and you know, the fact that you've got Eric Gill by the BBC. I mean, it's prevalent everywhere. This filth is everywhere.
In plain sight, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, definitely. And these experiments, they were done on starting from a 3-month-old baby, Steve. This is how sick these people are. And am I right in saying, Lucy, that that Alfred McKinsey, he might be dead, but he's still got the Kinsey Institution still going, and they've still got an app to for the paedophiles to actually send info back to the institution. Am I right or am I wrong? I'm not sure.
No, that is correct. Yeah, that is correct. They've got, like, obviously with the, you know, the new sort of technology that's around that these days, they've actually got an app to collect information.
Yeah, really sick.
It is really, really sick. It's beyond, you know, like, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, as in like seen the actual Kinsey Institute on the internet, I wouldn't believe it, because it's so, it's incredibly sick. And, you know, people thought he was what do they call him? The grandfather or the godfather of sex or something like that. He was given this grand name. And it's absolutely sick. And going back to the PIE as well that you were talking about then, Steve, I can't remember his first name. His surname was Carroll. He was one of the founders, and I can't for the life of me remember his first name. But he was actually a member of the Labour Party back in 2016, which is, you know, this man is someone that was founder of a disgusting paedophile group, and then he was a member of the Labour Party. You know, it's disgusting. And of course we know about Starmer as well. He got Savile off, didn't he, back in 2008. He was actually the chief inspector of that case of Jimmy Savile, and, you know, apparently there wasn't enough evidence.
Sure. But you have to consider, I mean, there's lots of it prevalent in the Labour Party, but you also have to remember that Conservatives is also rife, yeah? So Theresa May lost all them files. Remember that? Yeah. And Boris Johnson said, why spunk money up the wall investigating any of it?
Yeah.
So they're all complicit. It's not a partisan issue, I wouldn't say.
No,
I would say they're all complicit.
Yeah, I do agree. Like years ago, I used to be Labour because I always thought the Labour was for the working class and the Conservatives, were the snooty ones, and that was what I believed. Now I wouldn't go with either. You can't trust them at all. You can't trust any of them. So it was actually when this sex education first came into the UK, it was 2017. So that was actually under a Conservative government. So they're not so conservative after all if they're willing to teach our children that crap,
Yeah, I'd just like to mention about Theresa May. Yeah, she lost all those files, but also when she became Prime Minister, she actually took her own father off the sex register list. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was a paedophile. He was a paedophile.
Wow.
These are the people we have running our governments, folks.
Well, we can't leave them. We can't leave everything in their hands then, really, can't we? They can't be trusted, especially when it comes to our children. They can't be trusted at all.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. Could you tell everybody what's going on with PCP Wales now? What's up and coming? I have got a few posters I can put up as well. I can put onto the screen.
Okay, so, brilliant.
All right, you start and I'll put them up and you can carry on talking through it.
Okay, so firstly, I don't think I've mentioned it yet on this live. We are facilitating a court case to get this RSE out of our Welsh schools. We've got a top class barrister and legal team. So we are in the process now of getting the case together. We've got till the 16th of March to get the case sorted. And the reason why I've got to the 16th of March is because on the 16th of December, the RSE draft was actually written. We've been waiting all this time for this RSE draft to actually be there. So yeah, we've got to the 16th of March. Also by that, enough money to facilitate it as well. So we have got our fundraiser. Our fundraiser is it's everywhere on Facebook, everywhere sharing it out. So we have done a number of events to date. And our next one, yeah, you just put it up there. Our next one is a 24-hour skate-a-thon. Now this is going to be down in Aberfan. Aberfan, am I pronouncing that right, Phil?
Yeah, Aberavon Beach. It's on the promenade. It's going to be.
That's right. Yeah. So we're going to be starting at 2:00 on Saturday, the 19th of February, finishing at 2:00 on Sunday, the 20th. So basically, we want people to come and join us, but you don't have to come down for 24 hours because that's unrealistic. So what we're saying is, well, Phil's going to be there for 24 hours. He's doing a live-a-thon. I'm hoping to be there 24 hours, but we're not expecting everyone to be there. There we go, 24-hour live-a-thon. Cool. So what we want people to just get themselves into groups. You either get yourself into one big group or you join one of our groups, and at least one person from your group has got to be present and skating at any one time. So if you've got a group of 10, you can kind of, sort of split yourselves into 3s or 4s, and then you don't have to be there all the time then. Like, we also want people to come down as well to help give out leaflets. So if you're not into skating or you're scared to skate, but you feel that you'd like to come down and support us for a couple of hours, keep us company or help us with giving out leaflets and spreading awareness, then please come down as well. We'd love to see you. And then most importantly as well, we have got a fundraiser link for this skate-a-thon. So if you can afford £1, £10, whatever it might be, because it doesn't matter how small, because the more contributors on our fundraiser platform, the more it kind of bumps up our campaign as well. So it'll be more visible to people. So even if you can just afford £1, that's brilliant. We're really grateful for that. So yeah, so a little bit of fun as well, fundraising, because everything's really serious and it can get a bit sort of soul destroying a lot of the times, to be honest, with the things that we hear. But this is a sort of like, bringing a little bit of joy, bit of happiness, and, just having a bit of fun. I can't skate. In fact, I might take my skateboard instead of roller skates because I haven't been on a pair of roller skates since I was tiny. So it might be skateboarding for me. I haven't completely decided. But yeah, it is going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. We're looking forward to that.
What I'm going to do with the live-a-thon, my admin are going to be looking after me, trying to keep me awake for 24 hours in the freezing cold. But they'll put a link for the fundraiser on there. So anybody wants to donate, just jump on my live and we'll take it from there, folks. And like Lucia said, every pound counts because it means it's not only that, it's more people are involved. And that's what we're trying to do, spread awareness, get more people, more parents involved. And they should be involved because this is a serious matter. In Wales, we've got a problem because legislation came through that the parents have not got a right to opt out. Now, England, all the rest of the nations, they've got a right to opt out at the moment. Yeah. But come September, some of your countries aren't going to be opting out, folks. So what you need Wales to win this campaign and take our politicians to court and overturn that legislation, and then we can move forward. The other 51 countries who've had this forced on them because they never had a vote on it. Did us parents get a vote that this new legislation could go through? No. Ours was pushed through during a COVID lockdown, folks. So it's pretty bad what's going on, but it's coming to Scotland and it's coming to England. Scotland's already got some bad things like the questionnaire, which is asking 11-year-olds all about sex, what type of sex they've had, how far they've gone and stuff like that. But what you got to realise, a questionnaire going to somebody like who's been abused or something, they don't know. There's no safeguarding whatsoever. And these teachers are not qualified to be doing things like this anyway. Full stop. Absolutely. What's your thoughts, Steve?
Yeah, well, I mean, initially my thought actually was, who come up with the skater-thon idea?
That was Kim.
Kim can't skate. Kim can't skate.
It's just a bit just a bit out there, isn't it? It's just a bit bizarre. I've never really heard. I've heard of other fundraisers and people doing things. I mean, it's good, It's different, isn't it? Seems a bit odd. I was quite a good little skateboarder back in the day, actually.
Yeah, I started skateboarding about 6 years ago, so I can skateboard. Not great, I'm not doing tricks, but yeah, I can stay on a skateboard quite easily. But yeah, because I'm bringing my daughter's coming down with a friend. I know a lot of the parents are going to be bringing their children, so I suppose it's going to be more. It's probably going to be the children doing more of the skating, to be honest.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah. Yeah, I only heard about it yesterday. I think Phil, you put it out, so I did a video briefly. Post I put out about it. Briefly heard about it.
They have done
certainly an original idea. I'll give you that.
They have done some other fundraisers already. The guy who did my rap on my starting theme tune, Darren Pulser.
Is it Pascal?
Yeah, he actually wrote and rapped that theme tune for me for the start of the show. But he's actually, what did he do? 100-odd mile walk last year?
He did a 140-mile walk across South Wales. So we did it, I think it was 5 nights, wasn't it, altogether, or 5 days. So he was actually sleeping rough in between, but he did 140, just walked 140 miles, as you do.
And the other sponsor, it was the 3 Peaks Challenge, wasn't it?
Yeah, there were 17 of us that did the 3 Peaks. So it was the 3 Peaks. I've just noticed Phil's offering to skate. Are you, Phil?
No. I'm doing a 24-hour booking live.
No way. Yeah, there were 17. There were 17 of us that did the 3 Peaks. But Darren, who had done the 140-mile walk at the beginning of September, I think it was from the 4th of September. And then on the 26th of September, he came and did the 3 Peaks with us as well. Incredibly fit. And then Darren's also done another event or a fundraising thing for us. He actually did a fast. It was a 5-day fast where he didn't eat or drink anything for 5 days. I think he may have drank water though, I think. But he gave up smoking, no drinking, hot drinks or anything. So Darren Purcell has done a lot for our cause. And I am actually going to be doing an interview with him in the next sort of maybe next Wednesday or the Wednesday after. I'm going to be doing an interview with him. So that's something to look out for because he's a great guy. Really great guy. And plus he did your theme tune. I was watching it again before coming on here. It's fab, isn't it? Really, really catchy. I love it.
The thing is, he's only been rapping since I think it was June last year. He started writing and stuff, but he's done about I think it's about 18, 19 tracks now, and that's where I end my show off with one of his tracks as well. He's just brilliant. He is absolutely brilliant.
I've heard some of his other tracks. They're really catchy, and well, he's singing the truth or rapping. Sorry, he's rapping the truth, isn't he?
Yeah, a true truther.
Yeah.
So he actually wrote that for you, Phil, did he?
Yeah, he actually wrote it for me, mate. Nuts.
Oh.
But I have to change the video around now. I basically don't want any posters on it. So what I'm going to do is just get a lot of action from the demos I've been on. Been on the front line, and I'm going to put them all in there and put them all together for that, like that. So the beginning will be changing, the video will be changing, but the music will be staying the same. So.
Well, you'll have plenty of footage to pick out though, Phil, won't you? Because you've been to plenty of these demos.
62 last year, and that's without my live shows as well. The year before was 55, and when I was a Yellow Vest, it was 52. But I also cover other things like veterans, children's demos, lots of other different demos. So it's not just one thing. Do you mean?
He certainly does get about, old Phil.
He does. And the thing is, there's a lot of issues out there at the minute, isn't it? There's we've got the veterans, we've got obviously the COVID, the freedom protests, the sex education. Then there was there was a lot of the Save the Children protests as well. So yeah, there's, we the people have got a lot to stand for, really, haven't we? There's a lot of people that have, and obviously the vaccines is a big thing as well, where they're pushing it onto children now. And yeah, sorry.
You're going to get me a second strike on YouTube, you are.
Sorry.
We can't mention things like that because that's the reason why. I was on with Tracy Blackwell, a couple of weeks ago, and I had a strike off YouTube for medical disinformation, and we didn't even speak about anything medical.
I think you have to be honest, I think you should probably avoid the V word in general.
Yeah, definitely.
If you have a code word for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can say it.
Yeah, good idea, Steve. On Facebook, I can get away and say anything I want, but on YouTube, I can't. Because I'm just being watched all the time. Trolls. Absolutely. Somebody must have reported me, or somebody didn't like Tracy and reported that. You know what I mean? Yeah,
possibly. I know sometimes when you have someone who is it? Sorry, Tracy.
Tracy Blackwell.
So
Tracy the family Leonard. Am I right? That's the correct name now. Yeah.
So is she quite high profile as well?
Yeah.
Well, she's one of the mothers of Josh, Harry, and George that were sadly mowed down and murdered. There's a documentary if you want to check it out. It's close to, if you equate the Facebook views, the YouTube views, and the Telegram views, it's close to 500,000 at the moment. So,
wow. Oh, so so obviously, these.
So it's definitely resonating with the people, but it concerns me that not too many truthers, shall we say, are actually picking up on it, which I've got some concerns about, I suppose. But evidently, the amount of views it's had evidently resonates with the general public, which is a good sign. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, I implore you to go and check it out, because the families, they're just ordinary people. They never asked to be here. They were forced into the position where they had to fight for justice, and it's just absolutely heartbreaking. They were fouled by the state. The police had fake witnesses, just almost unbelievable stuff. I think it's probably imperative for a person like yourself, that campaigns for children and stuff, to go and watch it. I would implore anyone, any ordinary person really, to do it, because they're just seeking the truth and justice. So.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
Top woman.
Yeah, I got lots of respect for Tracy. What she's been through, all the abuse that she's had online and stuff like that, offline, and it's just so much respect for her.
Yeah, I will. I'll check her out. Thanks for that. It is awful, like bad things happen to good people, and we can't just and obviously, like what she's gone through now, she's what strength of a woman, though, to have gone through all that, and now she's out there spreading awareness, with the aim to protect other people. Amazing at doing that. And
let me tell you something I thought that was really really quite imperative and quite good, if you can say anything's good about the situation, is she quite often gets, obviously, trolls and all sorts of stuff like that. I get a relative amount of abuse for even supporting her, but she spoke a while ago about having this documentary. It took a while to put together and all this sort of stuff. But all the trolls, all the state agents, because it had been so long, they thought she was bluffing. And then, bang, it comes out, and then they've all shut up.
Yeah, but she's got a part 2 as well, mind. But she's not going to show it yet, in case.
Needs all that for court, and that's true. So.
Yeah, that's right. And she's got a lot more evidence on the police and everybody else, and to do with the case, to me. So that can't be put out yet. But she has got it in the background waiting. That's definite. But this is what we get, don't we, Steve? Trolls turn a latch on and decide that they'd like to discredit you.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, even in regards to stuff. I mean, this is all connected, by the way. And I'll go back to supporting children and stuff like that. I started an investigation, right, by myself on my own, because I came across this art warehouse, right, that had paedophile symbols all over it. Like, I'm sure you've seen all the unclassified documents of what they actually are, the spirals, the butterflies, the hearts, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen.
I found this store, right, and I was like, it alarmed me. I was like, I know what that is. Being an activist, you look into this stuff, yeah, and it was everywhere. This stuff was everywhere, and it was in plain sight. So I started an investigation. I sort of jumped the gun a little bit because I thought, I'd have a lot more support than I did get. And basically, because I said, right, I'm investigating these people, and I pointed it out to people thwarted it, right? They reported me to the police for several things, because someone put out on Twitter that I'd been anti-Semitic, right? I can't even be by proxy, just to set that straight. And they put this out on Twitter. That was anti-Semitic and all sorts of other allegations. Because as soon as I hear an allegation, I go and I do a subject access request, right? So I do full disclosure, and it's a lot easier than people think it is. Right? Police have to give you everything they've got on you. So I did it. All of it's been like the allegations of anti-Semitism have been dropped anyway, but they've stopped my whole investigation, because now all the owners, all these people, they all know who I am now. because they've gone around and told them, and it's just now what I'm just supposed to allow this nonsense in plain sight to exist. Who are these people that report me for this stuff? It's absolute madness. I know who they are, by the way.
Yeah,
But
so do I, mate.
What
So
are you going to do?
But
Fucking
yeah,
nuts.
how could I? If anybody knows Steve, he's actually Jewish. Plain and simple, like. So
Jewish as
how
well.
how
And this-
the fuck do he?
Yeah, maternally, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That was a bit like when the Brexit vote was out. I actually voted Brexit, and then I see then all over social media when we were voted in that everybody that voted Brexit were racist, and I'm thinking, hang on, I'm actually my grandparents moved over from Italy in the 1950s, so I'm actually Italian. I'm not British, by sort of blood. Both my grandparents as well. So I'm like, well, God, racist, but bloody ridiculous. Certainly not racist towards Europeans because I am a European really. So it's crazy, and the reason why people were thinking that was because the news were telling them that. The media was saying, well, there's all these people who the reason why they want to vote.
What you shouldn't have to do, right, is you shouldn't have to use your identity to fix a problem. Or to disprove an argument or give yourself any more credibility, right? Your beliefs are what they are. Listen, anyone can say what they want about me. It doesn't really matter. The truth remains the truth, regardless, right? So none of that is really relevant.
It's not.
But you shouldn't have to say mixed race kids, this heritage, this, that, just to not be called a dirty word. Because it's straight out of the Communist Handbook, right? It's like a character assassination that they go for. Is call them a word that already has such a dirty meaning that they don't care as much for the evidence. They're so shocked by the term already that they don't actually care whether they are or not. Do you know what I mean? And it's a really old communist tactic. This stuff that they use.
It's a little bit like, where we've been campaigning against the sex education, like people have turned around and said we were homophobic. And it's just like, what is being a homosexual to do with teaching sex to children? They're worlds apart. There's nothing, I'm not, it's not because I don't want my children to learn about, gays. It's because I didn't want my children to learn about sex. It's two completely different subjects, and they'll say anything to discredit us and just to discredit anyone who's speaking against what they want to implement. So it is crazy.
On Monday, right? It's the first time that Mr. Stop Brexit man, Steve Bray, actually acknowledged who I was. Because I was in London and he was actually there. He did actually acknowledge me straight away. And what he said was actually slanderous. So I'm looking forward to a court case to taking him to court for slander. Because what he actually said was quite sickening. And what I do for the children and stuff was, it was sickening. He called me, his first words was, Gavin said, you know him by there, don't you? And he said, oh, that's Phil Watkins, the kiddie fiddler. But let's get this straight. When he's up in court and he owns 3 fucking houses, I'm going to take him for every fucking penny. Because that little fucker, everything I said on there, on my live, is true and provable. Because he's got a criminal record for theft, fraud. He was sacked from his job because he stole stuff. He went to prison for that. He actually... I could tell you a few more things. He broke into Iweni angling shop on Iweni Road in Bridgend, and he actually, I'll admit, until I was 17, I was a tearaway, and me and him did our shop over, and basically, I got away. He didn't. He got caught by the police, and he grasped me up for the whereabouts where I was and stuff. So he's also a grass, and how he's got his 3 houses, I'll tell you straight. He's got a little weighing machine, which I've been told, and he's quite handy at telling people things over the years, and I've kept it in the background. He's got a little weighing scale, so when he goes to visit, say, old age pensioners to buy gold, what he actually does is he gives them a rock bottom price because he's fixed the gold machine. He's a fraudster. He's a con merchant. And also, if you don't like it or not, he does beat women. It's called tough. He beats women. No doubt about that. I don't know where Steve's gone. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing him in court, to be honest with you.
You are actually going ahead with that, then, are you? Hey,
Oh yeah,
Steve,
I'm going to be seeing a solicitor on Thursday.
brilliant.
And because he tried to ruin my reputation by the best he could come up with, the lefty as he is, was that. So good luck with that. That's what I say, because everything I've said about him beating up women, I can actually prove. Do you mean all the thefts? I am gonna go through a lot of the Gazette stuff which he was actually in over the years when he was youngster, because I know him very well because I shared a room with him in Care. I actually shared a caravan with him after I was left Care, so I know a hell of a lot about him and I know all his background. So I am going to dig up with the Gazette everything I can on him, and I will be putting a video together just for him, because Karma is a bitch, I'm afraid to say. He's a failed politician. He's bought by Plimco Builders. He actually, during the Brexit, he was paid by MPs. He actually was housed by MPs in the poshest part of London, which was College Green. We're talking millions and millions of pounds for a flat.
Wow.
And it was an MP's flat. So I've got so much on him. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing my solicitor, showing the video, and I'm going to get all the relevant information. And once I've got all the relevant information about him, it's going on. It's going to go into a video. And another thing about Steve Bray, which I've kept in the background, which I should have said before, is he was a member of the TAs. Yeah, he was a Territorial Army. He does like to tell people that. He's never carries his card with him, but he tells everybody that he went into the regular army. So he went into the regular army, but he was actually booted out because his full-time job as a manager was in this factory. And what happened was he was stealing computer stuff so he could do CDs, games and stuff like that, porn videos, and then sell them on, like, do you mean? So, do you mean pirate copies? So, and he actually got the sack for that, and he actually went to prison for that. So, I will dig up all the evidence on the Gazette, because I won't mention anything that's not true.
Yeah.
And I know he beats it then. And I know he beats it. And I know he beats up women because my daughter's mother had 2 black eyes because of him.
No way.
Before I was with her. I could say, I'm not going to say anything else about it because I know a few other things as well, but I don't want to involve certain other people. But yeah. Sicko. So yeah.
And he was an MP for...
No, he wasn't an MP.
Oh,
he tried to be an MP for the Liberal Democrats in the last election. He changed his blue hat. Instead of being outside Parliament shouting on his megaphone, he changed it to a yellow hat. But he ended up with a few hundred votes, and that was about it. Like,
right?
So he never got in, like, didn't he? But he's still sponsored by Plimco, so I've been told.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Another wrong and upset.
I don't mind mentioning his name because he is a total wrong one. He's a biggest con artist there is.
We used to see him getting envelopes and all sorts, didn't we, Phil?
Yeah, we've seen loads of stuff. We got loads of stuff on film as well. So it's going to be a quite interesting one.
I kind of miss them Brexit protesting days. It was.
Oh, I loved them.
Wasn't it?
I loved them. Yeah, college. I can remember before we went in, I spent 2 nights looking after the flags outside College Green overnight. They actually offered to pay for me to go to London and put me up and feed me. I said, I've already booked for those days anyway, so don't worry about that, but just feed me and that's it. So I remember that very well. I had to stop and reckon the flags in the night. And I did catch one, how can I say, uni student wanted to pull down a UKIP flag, but he soon changed his mind when I said you could be kicked out of uni with a criminal record for criminal damage. So he's awfully apologetic then.
I bet.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know what I find strange to think about, actually? Sometimes, like, if you look back to them sort of Brexit protesting days, I think the reason I get a bit nostalgic about it is because now everything that's happened since then, I can be nostalgic about it because it was a simpler time.
Yeah.
Like everything back then, right? We had really serious injustices and stuff that we were fighting against, but the level of globalism, right, that would come in so fast and so hard, and the tyranny that would hit us so hard, none of us were expecting that. I always said communism is coming through the back door. I didn't quite know how they was going to do it, but they definitely did it, and it hit us all really hard. And it kind of made me go, oh, now what we need to do, left and right, we kind of need to talk to each other for a little while, fight them, then we can go back to calling each other names later, yeah?
I think,
because it's just not that simple anymore.
I think they mucked up, Steve, because every single city was actually starting to rise. There was demonstrations right across the world during the Brexit, just before the COVID. And this is what they were afraid of. So what they decided to do is, I personally think they brought COVID forward. But that's a big, massive mistake because there's a lot of left and a lot of right that are united over this now.
Yeah,
because they did something so atrocious that we actually found common ground. Which just hadn't really been done before. Like people weren't really bothered with walking with right-wing people, left-wing people. It was like, okay, we know the common enemy here. So there was a lot of unity that I personally never thought I'd ever see.
Yeah, there is a lot of unity, but at the same time, there's so many divides. Like even like within the truther community, it's almost like there's always there's people being put in places, isn't it, to make sure that those divides happen, and that's to control. We know that's why they divide us, is so they can conquer us. Because if we're all arguing amongst each other, well, they can control what we do then, can't they? But I just wish that everybody would just come together, like everyone, and just say, right, okay, even if you disagree on a few things here and there, we all know we're the 99%, aren't we? We should be in that parliament ourselves and kicking them out. But no, people are too busy arguing amongst each other. But yeah, I do agree to some extent. There is some unity, sort of between people who maybe they had different political beliefs before. I've certainly made a whole new group of friends during this pandemic. I've met a lot of people. I do disagree with a lot of my old friends as well, but we keep it civil. I'm not one to sort of argue with people. But yeah, I've met a lot of people in this pandemic, I should say.
Yeah, an example about what you're causing about a divide. Well, there's a few really. You can go the BLM route as well. That was a divide. That was set up by the government, doing to cause a divide. And then you got the shills within the movements, and I am going to say it, at the end of the day, it just showed it on Monday. These cars for the convoy parked up outside Scotland Yard. The traffic wardens turn up, and everybody's in front of their number plates and stuff like that. And then the traffic wardens are getting a little bit scared because everybody's around them. The police, trying to facilitate as much as they can with them. And then they go across the road, and then Piers Corbyn decides to go across the road to Scotland Yard, starts to do a speech. So everybody, I'm saying it on my live. This is a distraction, folks, so that you can see them all going over to see Piers Corbyn speak. And then you can see I'm on the other side. I'm watching them. The traffic wardens are deciding when to go over, when the numbers have gone down. and then they went over and just took all their numbers. You know,
Listen. Okay, if I will say, people like Piers Corbyn, okay, he may sound like he says the right things here, there, and everywhere. I did a video about it, right? You can watch it. He was a long-standing member of the Communist Party of Great Britain, right, with his other brother Andrew, that no one really knows about. The geezers just don't. I don't understand why nationalists are standing with communists. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I will say to you, I just want your opinion on this, Bill, regarding the trucker stuff. Yeah, I'm ever the skeptic, and with this, I find myself relatively ambivalent, right? And it's because I'm not saying I'm right, by the way. It's just a bit of a theory I've got. So the trucks are the supply chain, right? And I exercise a great deal of caution, maybe too much these days, bit para and all that. But what I don't want to do is end up applauding our own demise, right? Because if food shortages happen that we all know have been planned for a long time anyway, would you not see this as when the system fails, inevitably, then we only have ourselves to blame? People are going to go, oh, it's them truckers' fault. And then it's just going to be the people that didn't do it versus the people that did it, right? And I also find a few things a little bit weird about it all, right? So one of the major donors to the Canadian truck convoy was Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk, right, has been pushing for self-driving trucks for about the last 3 years, right? So are they all going to get a boot? And is he funding it? Or, do you know what I mean? There's so many things that I find a little bit odd when people like that make sizable donations to ordinary people, because that doesn't really happen. I do think, though, something I saw today in Alberta, they did backtrack on their mandate system. So that's a good indication that things are rolling forward. And I'm very sure the majority of it is good ordinary people. But I think with the convoys in the UK, right, you have to look at it, nationalistically, right, and how it all works. Because over here, you've got Eddie Stobart, Dasher, all these, but they're global conglomerate companies. You're not going to get them doing convoys. You're just going to get ordinary folks in cars, aren't you, really? So whilst the resonating support's good, it's not going to happen, is it?
Yeah, my thoughts on it, Steve, is I see a point of view about the truckers and the supply chains and stuff like that. But it is actually working in Canada. They already had a shortage of food and stuff like that already, because of obviously they had a mandate on their truckers. Now, we're not going to have a mandate in this country on truckers at the moment. If they wanted to push it, then you would have the trucks come out. But you wouldn't get Eddie Stobart, John Raymond, and all the big firms out. I personally think last Saturday and Sunday could be used for a trial run myself. Because if you think about the million people we've had on marches in London, the 2 million one as well, and if they came in their cars instead on a Saturday and decided they're going to stay a week with their sleeping bags and enough food for a week, and say it was just 10,000 cars that actually turned up and brought it to a standstill, Steve, and then the rest of the people just come to support, I think the government would fold. But I think the government are folding in 2 weeks' time anyway, Steve.
I agree. The initiative, the incentive is good, as long as the people don't cave as soon as they get a parking ticket. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just
the thing is, the government might get rid of the legislation, right? Come in 2 weeks' time, they might get rid of. Do you mean all the restrictions? But what you've got to realise, come March, are they going to get rid of the emergency powers? Because if they don't get rid of the emergency powers, they can still do all this again. And we don't want them to do it again. And if they get rid, and I'm telling you, they will not get rid of those emergency powers because if those emergency powers were not in place, that so-called, I don't know what word I should call it, would have to be kicked out because it's still in trial. So I don't know, Steve. I don't think the government will back. Well, I think they'll get rid of the restrictions, but then they won't get rid of the emergency powers. So then come September, we'll be back in the same boat.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, like I know it affects businesses and stuff, but myself, I've never abided by any of these emergency powers. In fact, I made a point every day of how can I break all the rules. Every day, I made a point of it. Just because it's just utter nonsense. I've always said the only way out of this is uniform non-compliance, but the social conditioning of all of this has worked so well that they've dropped everything, right, in England, and I am actually seeing more people on the streets on their own wearing masks. Just to be safe and all that, you know what I mean? It's nuts.
And driving cars on their own as well. Nuts. People are in a car on their own and they're wearing one, and you're like, what?
That's to stop them licking windows.
Yeah. It is. And you know what? The sad thing is, I find it really sad. You know, what you were saying about people walking the street. Like where I live is quite an elderly population around here. And you see like, you know, an elderly man and woman sort of walking together, you know, struggling to walk as well because they're very, you know, quite elderly. And they're both wearing masks and there's no one around them. And I'm like, my gosh, you need fresh air, you know? And obviously, the older you get, you know, the more difficult it is anyway, you know, your lungs and that. And yeah, I just find it bad, you know, when I see the elderly.
It's all part of the propaganda, which we all know that the media stations are pushed and the papers and stuff. So they've put fear into everybody. That's what they've done for the last 2 years, and people are just so used to it now, aren't they?
Yeah,
it's just pretty sick.
I will say, right, because I keep hearing quite a lot of people talk about Agenda 2030. Agenda 2030, like it's the big, it's the big monster that's come in. The United Nations are awful. It's the sort of foundation of globalism, in my opinion. But there's been loads of agendas in the past that the United Nations have missed the mark. Like Agenda 21, missed the mark on it. Like, so if there's enough persistent resistance, they might miss the mark on 2030. Do you know what I mean? Because what I will say is, whilst people sometimes, you do get a lot of people that say protests don't work, this, that, and the other, but just holding the line, in a sense, I do believe does, because if there wasn't enough NHS staff that stood their ground and went, okay, then I'm losing my job, they probably wouldn't have done the U-turn. I wouldn't have seen much of a reason for them to do that.
That's just mate.
So I do think, in a sense, that. But then looking at that, something I heard today is that whole not making them do the mandate thing isn't as black and white as you think, because apparently, whilst the ones that exist don't have to do the mandatory poke, should we call it, so your channel don't get taken down, they're not taking on any doctors and nurses that haven't had it anymore.
Wow. Yeah, this is a bad thing, because they're putting application forms out now that are you vaxxed or you're not.
So they're only going to accept
discrimination.
But the ones that already are, they're not going to force.
They can't get right, but they're not bringing on any new.
But
which suggests to me they'll just fizzle them out.
But fact is, they have actually been advertising for care workers and nurses and doctors in Africa, and they're going to get paid more for coming over here than our doctors and nurses already got, and that's what they're trying to do, mate. They're trying to
Yeah,
replace
well,
them. Replace
They-
them?
they-
But aren't they even more hesitant than we are? In
Oh, see,
Well,
that's a
Africa?
word I don't like. See, that's a word I don't like. See,
What's
they
that?
use that in the media a lot. Yeah, they go vaccine hesitant. No, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. I don't want it.
Yeah, I know. I was
Hesitancy.
being polite, Steve.
Right,
For the sake
hesitancy
of
suggests
YouTube, I was being.
hesitancy suggests that I'll eventually change my mind. No,
Yeah,
I don't want it.
yeah. Full
End
stop.
And I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm just against this vaccine. I won't have it. And that's it. So I'm not an anti-vaxxer. Yeah.
I will say I rely on my immune system. I spend, I wouldn't say I'm healthy like 100% of the time, but most of the time I do things that is good to build my immune system. So I'm happy with that. Trust my own immune system. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Well, they're bringing this they're bringing things out now for everything, aren't they? I've seen on the news that, oh God, I can't remember what they were doing the jabs for now. And I was thinking, why? It was like they were just bringing it, oh yeah, we're doing it for this now, we're doing it for that. You're like, people need to be learning how to, grow food and look after their bodies. This is what I get really annoyed about as well. On mainstream media, I don't watch it much, but occasionally I'll sort of switch it on. There's no information about healthy eating at all. So if we've got a virus which is rampant, which means that people with compromised immune systems are going to be really badly affected or die, why aren't they encouraging people to increase their vitamin C or get out for regular walks or make sure they've got just enough good food in their diet? There's no information regarding that at all. So
how's your garden going? How's your garden growing, Steve?
Hey?
Didn't Tracy have a garden growing somewhere? A plot?
Oh yeah, she had like an allotment. Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't really a part of it, mate.
Because Mark told me, like he used to go around.
Yeah, they used to go down there and help a lot. As far as I know, still there. I think they grew some good runner beans and potatoes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's good. I think they just wanted to start sort of self-sufficiency. I know Tracy does like her own eggs and chickens and stuff like that, so she's well self-sufficient in that sense.
Do you know what? I think we all need to do more of that, really, because I don't grow vegetables myself. My mum's really got into it the last couple of years. She's got her garden full of it. But yeah, I do think it would be lovely, because you can't even trust what you get in the supermarkets these days, can you? You just don't know what they're preserving our produce with. So I try and use like the local the local veg stores and that in my town centre. There's a couple there, but normally I just go for the convenience of the supermarket. But yeah, I do need to start doing that, because we know the vitamins and that are much better in the locally grown produce, because they just, in the supermarkets, they just pump everything full of water as well, don't they, to plump everything out, which is why it all looks so perfect.
Yeah, I've just ordered some organic pomegranate seeds.
Oh.
A friend of mine called Kim, she's coming on the show next week. She knows about oil and stuff like that, everything to do with cancers and that. But because I got furring of the heart, and I've had it for about 20 years, like, and but she's telling me that is probably one of the best cures. I can actually unfur my heart and get my circulation and my blood going back properly, like, so brilliant. I will be having her on next week on my show, like, and she'll be going through like suppositories and stuff like that, where you can take oil, you don't have to put it on your tongue, and you don't have to get stoned. You can actually take a suppository instead, or and you don't actually get stoned, but you get the same effect. You get the same benefits of it to help you cure yourself. So yeah. What are your thoughts on our Cardiff city centre? Hang on a second. I'm gonna play a video now.
I know what's coming.
Yeah, this is for you, Stan. This is Cardiff, mate. Yeah, what do you think about our Dripwood right now? We've got homeless on our streets in Cardiff. We've got we've got food banks, and the thing is, it came up on I was walking past on Monday, off the bus about 11 o'clock at night, and they were 11:30, something like that, and they were doing this on the road, like. But people have been saying this artwork, and this is a report off the paper, right? I want you to have a look at this. Right, this amazing artwork has been painted on Cardiff's Castle streets to celebrate LGBT plus. Now, what does a plus mean?
They've not got a month, have they?
Yeah, they got a month like Black History Month. The new artwork builds on the traditional 6 colours of the original Pride flag, to include black, brown stripes to represent LGBT plus communities of colour, as well as pink, white and blue, and white, representing the transgender community. And this is where they fail with their propaganda, because they've said from the beginning, like in Swansea, Cardiff, it's artwork, right, folks? But it says here on this Wales Online report, more flags are set to be installed in the capital in the next few days. So these are flags.
Yeah.
So they're blatantly lying to the public that this is artwork, when it's actually a sublime message of LGBT.
Yeah. And isn't it, do you know, like the fact that the LGBTQ plus, you know, the flags are
what's the plus mean?
Colorful, it's appealing to children as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
rainbows, yeah. And like my daughter, when she first started playing Roblox on a, you know, the PC, like she was really young. She only played a little bit online, and she decorated her room in LGBTQ colors because she didn't know it was LGBTQ. She just seen someone had decorated there, because you decorate your rooms, see, your houses in this, you know, this game. She decorated it in the LGBTQ flag colors because she just thought it was colorful, because children are just attracted to those colors anyway, aren't they? And they've done that flag in Swansea already, haven't they, Phil?
Yeah, 3 of them on a road. But just by the way, where does it say on a where are they in the highway code?
Yeah,
they're not. They look like pedestrian crossings.
Yeah.
So this is where we're going to get more confusion.
That is a road.
Yeah, that's right outside the castle. You'll see it when I explain about the demo on the 22nd. You'll see it then.
Funnily enough, I actually remember seeing a video not too long ago of a police horse that refused to walk over it, because obviously the colours were just a bit frightening for it. And
wow.
Yeah, that's right. But you've also got other problems as well. What about colour blindness?
Yeah.
You think it's black and white? You think it's a pedestrian crossing?
Yeah. And guide dogs, sorry, not guard dogs, guide dogs. Like they may, I don't know, because they're trained, aren't they, to look at zebra crossings. So yeah, it's
Well, listen. The fact is, I mean, we can talk about the ins and outs of how it might affect the highway code, this, that, and the other. To me, I'm just mad that there's political propaganda on the street.
Yeah.
Because that to me is that might as well be a communist flag on the floor. Like unless, because to children, right, if they go, "What's that?" you have to explain it.
Yeah.
Right, and then you just see how it's like second-hand indoctrination through.
Yeah.
All this sort of stuff. Just
on Boxing Day, I think it was in Swansea, right, Steve? The horses had problems with the ones they've got in Swansea. They were actually quite mad. The horses were. Some of them wouldn't go over. So it could cause a lot of hassle, and it's going to cause a lot of confusion for motorists as well. Because do you stop? Because it's not in the highway code.
Yeah.
You don't stop, do you?
And it's meant to be a zebra crossing, isn't it? Right? Is it meant to be a zebra crossing where they?
No, it's artwork.
It's just who's funding this?
Us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
Taxpayers.
that even annoys me. Why taxation, the way it's actually laid out, is theft. Yeah, no, I don't want to give my money to this, but I have to because they decide that
Yeah.
I have to. It's all nuts. It's like foreign aid and all that, and
I
the
know.
amount we spend there.
It's the same as
Yeah, but we have
you know
no money.
what were you saying this year? Go on,
I
carry
said
on.
we have no choice. We have no choice how our money's spent. You know, it's just spent for us, isn't it? And we just we just keep paying tax, paying more and more tax. They keep hiking it as well. For
The
this
best one is this
sort of
week.
thing.
The best one's this week, right? We've been taxed, right? And they're going to turn around and they're going to lend us £200. Hey, brilliant! They're going to
Yeah, but
lend
it's
us
okay
our own
because we're
money.
going to take it back, and you won't notice because it'll be a little bit by a little bit by a little bit. Yeah.
No, it gets worse, Steve. It gets worse, Steve, right? You pay them back over 5 years, £40 a week, right? Now, can you imagine a couple, two people, they're forcing it on every single household, by the way. You've got no say in the matter. What you've got, right? You've got a couple. They've got two children over 18, right? The two children move out into their own homes, right? In a year's time. Then a couple splits up. So you're talking 4 different households, okay? Instead of one. But you've got to pay the £40. You've got to pay the £40 a year back, and that includes. Do you mean this is a 400% markup? This is a 400% markup. This is where they're going to get you with the interest because you have to pay it back because you're all responsible. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable.
I don't know.
Because your husband has to pay it back, your wife has to pay it back, and your 2 children will have to pay it back if they're living in
But
different
you know
homes.
what's mad, Phil? Right. So this plan to save us all, right, is from Rishi Sunak, who, by the way, his wife is worth more than the Queen. Just to let you know, that's absolutely mental. And he's telling us how we should penny pinch and all that.
Yeah.
It's just nuts, right? Even when it comes to like foreign aid, yeah. Do you want to know something I found out that's really interesting? And just to put this in perspective, right? Do you know, I hear quite a lot of people talk about millionaires and billionaires as if they're relatively the same thing. Let me put this in perspective, right? If you were to earn £1 billion, right? If you earned from the day you were born £1 every second, it would take you 32 years to get £1 billion. That's how astronomical that amount of money is, right? £1 million would take 11 days. So millionaires and billionaires, two different things, right? Yeah. Now, foreign aid, because I do want to get into this, right? They spend, or I think in 2020, right, they spent 14.5 billion, right? And this is because of a United Nations pact in 1970 that they decided that 0.7% of the annual income would go to foreign aid, right? 0.7% doesn't sound like a lot, but it's £14.5 billion. That's just astronomical money. You could solve world hunger with that, but they don't. Because do you know what's also in this pact, right? The actual agreement, right? It sounds like we're going out there saving Africans and all that. No, we're not. 15% of it goes to humanitarian aid. Just 15% of it. And by the way, that humanitarian aid is usually schools that get built in like Lebanon, and then our own army bomb it a year later, and then we have to rebuild it again, yeah? And 36% of it goes to multilateral organizations. Do you know what that is? The UN. The United Nations. We give them money for our own pact. And then the rest of it goes to bilateral aid. Bilateral aid is other governments. So the majority of foreign aid goes to other governments. Not to mention, by the way, that I don't really know what's in the clauses of what is humanitarian aid or not and where it really goes. a lot of it probably goes to Swedish bank accounts and Cayman Island tax havens, and it probably all goes back into the pockets of the politicians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Probably
yeah.
does.
So, yay foreign aid, eh?
Yeah. More like
Yeah.
that way, mate. That way, foreign aid.
Because I've always
Yeah.
said, like, for years and years, like, why are there still these countries that need clean water supply? Because I know, me personally, I've given money to these charities. So, and, you know, I'm not that rich, you know, so I'm thinking the people that give money, and obviously, why are there still countries in the world that there's no clean water? Like, it makes no sense.
We need clean water in Kent.
You know, yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah.
we actually need it in Wales as well. That is something else that we get conned. Our water supply, they've got the charge us what comes off our roof and down our drain pipes. Then they put chemicals into it. Then we've got to distill it because we don't want these chemicals in it. So we should be charging these water companies, do you mean a good old price, because all they're doing is selling our own water back to us. It's just taking a mickey, like. And it's the same as electric is free as well. Come on. That Tesla machine they had up and running, they soon took that one down because it was free electric. They don't want things to be free.
No.
That's the problem we got. Robbing swines.
I know it is, and well, the way electricity prices are going up now is shocking, isn't it? You know, and there's going to be there's some people who literally live like day to day with their money. You know, they can't afford these hikes, etc. So yeah, it's shocking. We pay, and council tax as well. I've heard that's a bit of that ends up in the pockets of the people that don't really need extra money as well. So yeah, we get conned. As ordinary folk, get conned left, right, and centre, unfortunately.
Yeah, what I want to do now is I'm going to finish the show in a bit, but I want to put this up for a minute. Could you explain what this demo is about?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So 22nd of February, so that's 22nd of the 2nd, 22, if you're into numbers, like I am. Yeah, so we're going to be doing a protest. We're starting at Cardiff Castle at 1 p.m. And then we're going to be walking then to the centre. So we're going to be walking through the town centre. We want to bring Cardiff to a standstill. That's our aim. But also, it's in the half term, so bring your children as well. And, you know, if your children, sort of want to get a few sponsors, we're going to be doing the children's sponsored walk. So obviously, we're all going to be together. So it's not that the children are going off. We're all going to be together. But yeah, we're encouraging the children, you know, it is a bit of a walk for children. If you know of Cardiff, it is the Cardiff Castle, walking all the way to the Senedd is quite a walk for, you know, especially young children. So yeah, if your kids, would like to get some sponsors to do a sponsored walk, that would be great too. Otherwise, just bring yourselves along, bring a picnic if it's warm. We're all going to be, we hope to get to the Senedd for about 2 p.m. So if you're a little bit, I've got a couple of friends who cannot walk that far. Joanne, my friend, has had an operation on her knee and hasn't recovered from that. So if you can't walk that far, then meet us at the Senedd for 2 o'clock. We'll have a couple of speakers there as well. They're not confirmed yet, but we've got a few speakers. Obviously, myself, Kim, and the rest of the PCP Wales will be there too. And yeah, we're just going to be, we just want lots and lots of people down there. Just get, you know, bring your children, bring your cousins, bring your parents, just get everyone down to Cardiff. Last time we did a protest and we did the march, it was good, wasn't it, Phil? Great turnout. We attracted a lot of attention as well. Obviously, we were stopping traffic as we were walking across the roads. We actually walked through, there's a very much an Islamic community as you're walking down. We walked through there. They were all over us. They wanted leaflets. They wanted to know more. Obviously, a lot of all faith groups, they're totally against this. It's against any of their beliefs. So yeah, it's good. It's going to be a good day. So fingers crossed for good weather. If it's not, bring yourself a raincoat. And let's just bring Cardiff to a standstill and spread more awareness.
Yeah, you've got. I think the Blairs will be coming down as well.
Brilliant.
Yeah, they're coming down to speak, and they're going. Obviously, they're going to be down on the 30th as well because it's another big one then. But I think you've got a couple of interesting speakers. Are the Birmingham speakers going to come down as well from the?
I believe they are. I know. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, Amir and Aziz. I believe they are going to be coming down. As I said, because I'm not entirely sure. Because Kim's sorting that side. I'm not entirely sure who's definitely confirmed. So I didn't want to do any name dropping. But yeah, there is going to be some really, really good. There is going to be some great speakers, and it's just going to be a good day. And obviously, because we're outside the Senedd, we're addressing the Senedd. You know. We are telling them like how we, we're telling them we're not going to stand by and let this happen.
Yeah, they've had a few emails sent to them, I think, asking if somebody could come out and talk. But I can guarantee they won't come out to talk.
No.
Have you got anything last to say, Steve, before I finish the show?
Not really, mate. Just thanks for having me on. Good luck with everything, guys, and I'm sure I'll bump into you again soon, Phil. And
you will do very shortly, probably.
Yeah, a pleasure.
Love you and leave you, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on, both. You've been amazing. It's great having you on, mate. Absolutely, and you, Lucia, you're always brilliant. Do you mean?
Thank you so
So what I'm going to remove you now, and
bye everyone. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, ta-ra, Steve. Yeah, so great guests again, folks. My admin have been awesome as well. Everybody in the comments, they've been really good. Hopefully, I've got all my comments in one place now. I'm hoping so. We'll soon see. And the next live you're going to see me on, I'm actually going to, let's put this up, because this is the one I'm going to, folks, this week. I'm going to keep it in Wales this week. In Wales. There you go. It's Saturday, and it's in Pontypridd Town Centre. It's an odd time, really. It's 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So I'm going to be going to that one, folks, spreading a little bit of awareness, and we're going to see what's going to happen. Like, I will be live for that one, folks. That's one I'm going to be going to. It's nice to stay in Wales sometimes. It means not so much travelling, folks. So I'm so looking forward to that. I did promise 2 questions right then, folks. The first, I am going to bring the 2 questions up because I nearly forgot. And what I'm going to do, let's see. I've got them in my banner somewhere. Right. I'm going to give away 2 mugs. Right, 2 of these. They are limited edition because it's not live news and demo news anymore. It's real news and live news, folks. So I've still got a few mugs left. So, right, the first question. What corrupt building did the convoy park outside of on Monday, folks? So the first person that comes up in the comments with the answer, I'll be giving away a free mug. I'll contact you on Messenger, and we can basically, I'll send you a mug, folks. So that's the first question. So that's the first mug. I nearly forgot all about this. I should have done it at the start, 1 question, 1 at the end. But no, I forgot. Right. And so what corrupt building did the convoy park up outside of on Monday, folks? So if you put your answer in the comments, and I'll find out who's the winner. Now, the second question, which motorway services did the English meet up with the Welsh on Saturday? Now, if you could... which motorway services did the English meet up with the Welsh on Saturday? I'll give you a clue. It's on the M5. As simple as that. The first person to answer each question, you will get a mug. So I'm going to start looking through the questions. Nat Harrison wins a mug. Scotland Yard was the first question. Now this... and then it was Jack Black's. But it's the first question, folks, right? So you've still got a chance to get... Yeah, you can say it's somewhere in Bristol this year, but I want to know what the services was. So come on, folks. I'm sure you can find out which services. And you get one of these free mugs. And I'll send it to you in the post. I'll send it off Thursday or Friday morning, and you'll have it. So which services did the English meet up with the Welsh on Saturday? And I'm going to even give you a clue here, folks, because it's pretty easy. It's on the M5. Right, I'll show you a little video of what happened when the English met the Welsh.
So we've got the police come to join the convoy. Nice of them. More cars coming through. Amazing. Yeah, this is gonna be a fun one. This is nice one. And it's still coming, folks. They're still coming. Some more over there. Nice one, mate. Hey. More have gone round the side as well, coming out of their entrance of the car park. But this is brilliant. So everybody's come out in support of Canada, folks, because of the tyranny they've got there. There's more cars coming in as well. Hear them all beating, folks. Look at that.
Yeah, so folks, let's see if anybody's got it yet. Deet. Yeah, you got the picture in there. It's the first service is going down the M25. Down the M5, sorry. No, it's not that. It's not that Welsh blonde. The English didn't meet the Welsh. We were already at that English service station on Saturday. So it's the first junction off. If you go on to the M49, I think, and then you go on to the M5, it's about 1.5 miles down from there. So that's a clue, folks. So Jax, you don't know. It's only somebody that part of it. Yeah, Tommy Freedom, you can't have it because it's simple as your admin anyway. Your admin on this on YouTube, mate. If you want a free mug, I'll give you a free mug anyway. And I didn't steal your hat. You left it in my car after the last demo, if you remember. But if you carry on, I will pinch it, and you won't be getting it back, right? All right, and yeah, thanks all for watching. Thanks all for sharing. I'm going to, if somebody does answer in the comments whilst I later on, I'll still send you a mug anyway. No, it's not Chepstow, Jax. But now I'm going to end the show with my usual. This is Darren Purcell's rap. I do it every week. He's an awesome rapper, and he's the one who done my tune at the start, especially for me. So lots of respect for Darren. He's done a lot for RSE as well, folks. So he's done a lot of sponsorship things, and raised a lot of money for RSE. So yeah, good night all, and God bless. I will see you Saturday. I don't know if I'll. Oh, you will see me tomorrow night. Actually, I'm actually going to cover. I'm not. I can't tell you the location anyway, but I will be covering something tomorrow night. It'll be from around about 7:15, folks. So it'll be on my wall actually, Philip Watkins, folks. So I'll see you all tomorrow. Good night. God bless. Thanks, admin, and thanks everybody for watching and sharing. I'll catch you soon, and thanks to the guests. They've been brilliant.
Okay, picking it up here in Wilmington, North Carolina, right at the Intercoastal, and we're in one of these bands.
So that's Mike Seidel in Wilmington, North Carolina, but as he races and fights to win Friday, check out the two guys who seem to walk right by him in the background there with no trouble at all. The video has been shared more than 1 million times on social media. Now it's the
Cruising, snoozing, looking for some news and losing it's amusing. Other people choosing the topics I can view and the subjects I can chew on, the facts that I can spew and the news they put their slew on. Twisty, turny, wriggly, wormy, squealy, squirmy news. Psychopathic journalists deceiving with their views, tightening like a tourniquet, they're aiming to confuse. Nightly negative narratives narrating you the blues. Blues and twos, new taboos, the pasta's all sold out. The hurricane's incoming and the world is dying out. Asteroids, blasteroids, steroids in their tails. The windiest ever windy gales are blowing in the dales. The sea levels are rising at a super duper rate. 247 365, the caliphate's your fate. Tidal waves are waving like the death rays from the sun. Duck and cover, stand your ground, there's nowhere else to run.
Now, more on the latest building collapse in New York. You might have heard a few moments ago I was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing, and indeed it has. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
Well, only really what you already know. Details are very, very sketchy.
Writing, fighting to publish stuff exciting, losing it's amusing, other people choosing the posts that I can post and the documents I can read from, the info I can feed from, the facts the checkers get wrong. Sleazy, slimy, geeky, grimy, blackout soulless tech, concluding with a clickety-click what's wrong and what's correct. Politically encouraged with protection from the law, they're getting pretty ruthless now, they panicking for sure. Scrubbing out the info like a scrubber in a tub, deleting the derogatory of the members in their club. Documents and studies disappear without a trace. Psychopathic moralists, they're doing it in your face. The info is erasing at a super duper rate. Breach community standards, your account will feel a fate. Post a funny meme means that you hate and are extreme. No chance of an appeal cause you're white and so supreme. Doctors, nurses, scientists and servants, real boys made from wood, covering for the perverts, defining definitions that will put you in a spin. Anything of interest gets filed in recycled bin. Algorithms algorizing the content that you post, collecting information, long-term storage with a host. Five Eyes keeping eyes on you, they're eyeing up your speech, using legal loopholes to conduct a data breach. Unqualified assessors banning stuff they do not like. Since early 2020 this has reached a massive spike. You're swimming in a dirty swamp, the swamp is full of pike. Post a touchy subject and receive a community strike. Unelected unofficials making up the rules, billion-dollar corporations governing the schools, satanic worship dictators who distribute the tools, pervy public servants act like Hitler with the Jews.